You know what? This isn't a Detroit Red Wings story, but we're going to make it a Red Wings story because everything revolves around the teams that we cheer for and not anybody else, right? Well, today's conversation is talking about the San Jose Sharks and the Columbus Blue Jackets because they are playing off against each other in about 3.5 hours or so. 3 hours maybe by the time this video is uploaded on YouTube. Very standard game. It's going to be in San Jose, 7:30 p.m. PST start time, so it might be a little late. But the biggest thing that I think a lot of people are talking about heading into this game is the fact that Jake Walman is going to be a healthy scratch for a coach's decision, per Warsofsky. This is really interesting, and I think for a lot of Wings fans who are looking at this, I mean, look, on the Red Wings subreddit, the top comment says, "Oh good, this is the confirmation bias I've been looking for. What a relief." And of course, you know, Jake Walman, defenseman for the San Jose Sharks and former Detroit Red Wings defenseman, is noteworthy because he was a pretty good player with the Red Wings last season, but he ended up getting traded over to San Jose in the summer along with a draft pick, so the Wings essentially paid a price to get him off of their team, despite the fact that he had produced 21 points in 63 games last year, and he's got 9 points in 13 games this year, on pace for a 50-point campaign. Now, he's not going to get that because he'll be missing out on one game, so the max he could play is 81, but the fact that Walman has been such a force, he's pretty much the best defenseman on San Jose, the fact that he is getting all the minutes, like, he's had a few 24, 25-minute games this season so far with the Sharks, the fact that this guy's getting healthy scratched for a coach's decision, similar to the David Pastrnak thing from a few days ago, it illuminates some very interesting discourse and thoughts that we could have about this player. Now, sure, Walman was alright last year, but I don't want to make it seem like he was the best defenseman on Detroit in the same way that he was the best defenseman on the San Jose Sharks for the opening part of the year. Walman was getting, let's say, 18, 19-minute games with the Red Wings. There were some games where he dipped to 12, and then others where he was raised up to 21, but for the most part, he was one on a pairing with Moritz Seider. He was one that existed in harmony with another bunch of defensemen. If Seider was on San Jose, he would be the best defenseman over there. If Edvinsson was on San Jose, you could say he's maybe one of the best D-men there too. So the fact that Jake Walman was traded alongside of draft capital to San Jose in exchange for nothing, literally nothing, future considerations, that was mind-blowing to everybody involved. But it's been a few games here, and now Jake Walman, after a game against the San Jose Sharks, is finding himself out of the lineup against Columbus. Well, what happened? Let's dive into some of the other comments here on the R Red Wings sub that goes out there and gives a good hypothesis as to what happened here. He's been their best offensive D-man in the last couple of games. I wonder what's up. Xvosh2 has the answer. Jake Walman blew coverage of Pius Suter in their last game versus Vancouver that allowed the go-ahead goal with 20 seconds left. He also made a bad pass that set up Suter for Vancouver's first goal of the game. And then some replies say perhaps he just forgot that he's not on the same team with Suter still. Suter's probably calling for the puck too. Wally, 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 oh my gosh, I can't believe you fell for that. Yeah, okay, those are some throwback moments. Of course, Pius Suter, former Red Wing, Jake Walman, former Red Wing, but Suter now with the Vancouver Canucks. This was actually something we had spoken about in the Canucks and Sharks post-game video from a few days ago. Let's dive into just the breakdowns as to what happened. Starting out with that game-winning goal by Pius Suter, assisted by Connor Garland and Carson Soucy. If you look at the coverage, how Pius Suter was able to find himself open right there in the slot for the one-timer opportunity, yeah, Jake Walman was supposed to be a little bit tighter to the guy, but he was not. He was too close, collapsed towards the net, and it allowed Suter a really good lane to take the puck and fire it in the last few seconds of regulation. Keep in mind, this was a crazy game. Mikael Granlund tied everything up with a minute to go in the third period, and then Pius Suter, just 30 seconds later, gave Vancouver the lead once more. You also had yourselves the first Pius Suter goal, which was, unfortunately, kind of turned over there by Jake Walman behind the San Jose goal line. The entire reason the goal even goes in is because after Vancouver dumps it in, the next guy to touch it up is Jake Walman. He's in the corner, and instead of making a proper play back reversed around the goal to the other defenseman, he decides to play it up the middle. Oh my goodness, why did he do that? and it gives it over to Nils Höglander, drop pass, Suter shoots, and he scores. Very easy play there for Vancouver to capitalize on. And Pius Suter is the guy who receives the benefits of that. I was kind of joking around in the Yahoo Fantasy group chat. I was like, guys, who's going to pick up Pius Suter because he's starting to produce goals now? And a lot of people were like, hey, he's not going to do that for the remainder of the season. Like, this is just a hot streak. He's going to go cold soon. Lego, what are you talking about? But Jake Walman was the constant on both of these Suter goals, that he was in a position to directly give Vancouver a good opportunity for the offense to go through. And I think if you're really trying to speak about your hockey team, you want to hold guys to standards, I actually think it's a really good idea and a good example of San Jose to put a guy like Jake Walman in the benching spot for a little bit, in the scratch spot. Here's another common thread. That's a bit odd for San Jose too. It's not really like they're loaded on talent. San Jose is doing a rebuild the correct way, and also not trying super hard to win until they have enough assets and talent stockpiled. You want to talk about setting standards and making sure that everybody, no matter how good or how old or how new or how young you are, you're going to be held to the same standard. If you make foolish plays like that, you throw it right up the middle for the Vancouver guys. If you lose your coverage in the last few seconds of the game, if you do both, you're going to be held out of the lineup. So, for Detroit Red Wings fans, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Walman and this entire situation with the San Jose Sharks. Obviously, you know, if it wasn't San Jose, it might not actually be too much of a big deal. Like, Walman is not, like, a super top 2 defenseman. He's just a top 2 defenseman in San Jose, right? We could definitely understand that. So the fact that he ends up getting scratched by this particular team makes it interesting because they have very few options that are legitimately better. In fact, there was a post made by the Vancouver Canucks Summary Twitter account. For anyone looking at Walman as a potential trade candidate for the Canucks, the Red Wings apparently didn't like his effort level either, according to some reporters. And I don't necessarily know how true this is, but I did want to go out there and address it in this video, just so we could get some sort of a conversation rolling in the comment section about Wings fans and how they feel about this player. Was there some sort of a, I don't know, effort level issue, not really attitude issue, but kind of defensive inefficiency issue that maybe was present in Jake Walman that we might not have immediately identified when looking at, let's say, the trade? I think the trade really changes up the perspective here about it because, oh, Steve Yzerman gave this guy away for free. They paid a price to get rid of him. Why did they do that? They could have just given him to some team and get some assets back. Like, it was such a crazy idea. But now, I don't want to make it seem like, oh, it's all vindicated now, but now there are some legitimate ideas tossed around that oppose it. So let's talk in the comment section below. How do you feel about Jake Walman and his career so far in San Jose? What are your thoughts on him getting scratched in a healthy capacity because of some turnovers and some bad reads? Is this a proper way to coach a bad rebuilding hockey team? Or would you rather say, sorry, like, mistakes happen, Jake Walman, you're back in the game because you're our best defenseman and we want to play the best that we can to give us the best chance in winning, even though we're not really a winning team this year? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.